Okay, so it's now time to go to the next one. Audrey, this one is over to you because this is something near and dear to your heart. So
it's my hot topic, and it's coming up for 2020. So Incoterms, which are run through the International Chamber of Commerce, or the ICC, they're about to release their Incoterms 2020, which is kind of, every few years their committee kind of goes through and reviews the terms, how they're being used industry-wide, who's using them, who's not picking them up, and what changes have happened that maybe they need to readjust these terms. In the last 10 years, I'd say from the 2010 Incoterm release to now, you've seen there was such a huge shift to multimodal shipping. So instead of, a lot of companies were doing trucking only, or mainly sea ship and then handing over, or mainly airship. Whereas now more businesses are doing that last mile piece, which means they're interacting with just multiple different modes of transportation from various points, as we do at Orchard, like completely global, and getting it from Taiwan into Australia, or Australia into US, so you're just all over. So 2020 is looking at, I'm going to check my notes here. I got some notes for this episode. 2020 is looking to remove the FAS term, which is called free alongside, because who was using this one?
I don't know, because I never really understood that one, to be honest with you.
So they're like, who's using that? And they kind of looked into the industry that's using it. It's kind of minerals and cereals. So I think they're just going to leave that. If you're in minerals and cereals, you can stick with your FAS term.
You can use FAS, but everybody else, you are not allowed.
Everybody else is like, never heard of it, not going to pick it up. For FCA, which is free carrier alongside, 40% of the industry is kind of using that term. So that's
I heard that one was the most popular. Why is it the most popular? I never used that one very much either. It's a way to use the term without having to specify a mode. Like FOB really indicates that you're loading onto a boat. And FCA can be used even air freight, truck.
Yeah, it's air freight, it's truck. It's just very usable, and it's kind of vague enough that people have an idea of what it is and sort out the details later. That's how I found we use it. So, but yeah, they've got, their data says that 40% of international operations are using FCA.
That's crazy.
They're looking at, for FOB and CIF, for container shipping, which I kind of read that and was like, but don't we all use it for that? Because apparently we were supposed to be using FCA and CIP, but no one did. So they decided between 2010 and 2020 that they're like, well, everybody's just using FOB and CIF for everything anyways. Let's just go with that. Yeah. They're considering a break on DDP, which is delivery duty paid. They're considering doing a delivered at terminal paid and a delivered at place point. Which is really
is that the final mile component?
I think so. Yeah, that's their change to kind of adjust for the rise in e-commerce and last mile business. Is I think this delivered at place point.
But let me ask you a question. So why? Because shippers are becoming more and more, right? With e-commerce, you could be on eBay and be a global shipper. You can be on Amazon and be a global shipper. So you're not necessarily a big online retailer or a bricks and mortar retailer anymore.
Just one.
It could be like one-on-one. So if I'm that person, right, that's a shipper on eBay, not really considering myself a global shipper, why should I even care about Incoterms? Like, what does it matter to me?
For your day-to-day, when everything's running smoothly, it doesn't really matter. You can kind of go about your business. It's when something goes wrong.
Right. Like we talked about in the last episode with Jen.
Yeah. Most of the time, you can do your business and it's no problem and it's fine. It's when it goes wrong that these terms really, the knowledge around these terms, or understanding how you've built your contract and actually having a contract, are really what come into play. So, these are in place to be kind of preventative and to, really help make it really quick and easy for big businesses to do this all the time. But yeah, if you're that one-on-one shipper and you don't know anything about these terms and you're not really clear on where you're shipping to or who's paying for what, It would be a good idea to kind of just have these as a bit of a reference. You don't have to study all of them, but study the ones that really apply to you. So, like this new kind of delivered at place pay, just understanding what your role is, especially when you get a hot new request from someone who's in a different country overseas, right?
Yeah. So is there, because I know there's quite a few people coming out with some of like educational components on this, like webinars and different things that people can sort of tap into and learn a little bit more about it. Do you know of any that we can maybe do a shout out to on the show so people can delve into it a little bit more or watch a webinar to understand better?
Yeah, for sure. So you can go right to the ICC. They're kind of the hub, the International Chamber of Commerce. Literally Google ICC Incoterms, Incoterms 2020. And their website has online and webinar training that you can do. And I think in multiple languages as well.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so that's helpful. So you got multiple languages covered. If you're here, ICC usually has regional offices. So here in Canada, FIT, the Forum for International Trade Training, our buddies at FIT, have partnered up with ICC and to be delivering that training. So they've actually started posting a couple trainings in kind of the major cities. So you've got out in Surrey, BC. They're looking at doing a Sudbury, of course, in Toronto, Greater Toronto Area, Ottawa, and then maybe into the new year, they'll look at doing somewhere out on the East Coast and I think into Montreal.
So for the Americans, probably the ICC.
Americans, yeah, because I wasn't sure about what was happening in Canada, so I actually looked at the ICC site had listed all the trainings, and so there are hubs in the US as well. So I think coming up into November and December, you've got Cleveland, you've got Chicago, you've got New York, you've got Los Angeles. So there's multiple destinations in the US. But if
even in Asia and Europe, I would imagine.
Asian Europe, right? Yeah, absolutely. So same thing. You've got the Paris will do a big one because that's where the hub is, and then you'll definitely have stuff happening in any city that's kind of a major shipping hub. So your Rotterdam, your Antwerp, and into the UK as well. So, but the ICC is a resource for that.
I know that you're really excited about this because you are a true supply chain specialist and logistician.
Trade geek.
Trade geek. We're trade besties. I mean, it's kind of our thing. So hopefully, hopefully everybody got a little bit out of that.